Let's talk about linebacker expectations now. So moving on to our next position group. Simple question here. Really, it's a simple question, but it's a loaded question. Is it too much to ask for Milano and Bernard to just be healthy all season and all pro caliber players all season for the 2024 Buffalo Bills? Because that's the dream, right?
I mean, it's absolutely the dream, right? It's the same kind of dream we had. I mean, look, it's not all
Mhm.
that different than the dream we had when Tremaine Edmonds and Matt Milano were together, right?
Yeah.
Tremaine Edmonds was a Pro Bowler as a Bill, and Matt Milano was an All Pro. Like, that's pretty damn close to having a couple of All Pros there. And Tremaine Edmonds had his detractors, and we know
Mhm.
that. I feel like now Terrell Bernard has very few detractors in Bills Mafia. I mean, as good as we thought Tremaine Edmonds was, and there's a lot of conversation around him, I don't see anybody. I think it's one of the few players on the team, besides maybe Milano, that
Mhm.
people unanimously agree is an absolute stud. And really, the combination of Bernard and Milano has a ceiling, if they play healthy together all year, to be better than anything we had with Edmonds
Mhm.
and Milano together. So to me, this is such a key piece of the 2024 success of this defense, is those two guys being healthy together for most of the year, kind of gluing that defense together between, being in that middle
Mhm.
sort of, layer of the defense in front of the secondary, behind the defensive line, that glue to keep that defense together. I don't think it's too much to ask. I think it's what we need. I think
Yeah.
it's what we need.
'Cause, I mean, you see this pay dividends for teams across the league. Look at San Francisco with Greenlaw and Fred Warner, and the places that those two guys have carried that defense and that franchise. And I think too, especially with two new safeties and a whole bunch of new faces on defense, Matt Milano, Terrell Bernard, and I'll even throw Teron Johnson there because he's almost like the third linebacker as the nickel back. They're the new pre-snap communicators. They're the new vocal leaders. They're the ones filling the voids. They're the ones working to like disguise the coverages. It's going to be those guys. It's no longer Hyde and Poyer. It's Johnson, Bernard, Milano. Those are, to me, the big communicators and sort of the engine and the brains and the mind of this defense.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. It's like, you mentioned the four cornerstone players earlier, and Bernard was one of them, and
Mhm.
obviously Milano was one of them too. It's just like, to me, Milano, he's a stalwart, right? And he's a core player, but I think Bernard is going to bring the leadership
Mhm.
element of this. And I think when we talk about Bernard in the sense of like who is actually going to be the team leader of this defense, for years, it was kind of the combination of Hyde and Poyer, right? They were the team leaders
Mhm.
at that safety spot. Like, both of them were like the vocal leaders of the defense as well, right? Like, Trey White was there, I get that, and Oliver's been here, but and Edmonds wasn't necessarily like the most talkative dude, but Hyde and Poyer were those guys. I think Bernard could be that guy for this defense now, as we kind of go into the next version of this defense. And yeah, super cerebral guy. And
Mhm.
obviously McDermott trusted him enough last year to just thrust him in to that role. So yeah, totally agree.
And to me, these two guys make or break the 2024 Bills defense. Milano, Bernard, hey, they made and then broke the 2023 Buffalo Bills defense. Them playing well, I think can help you overcome some of the other question marks that we have on this defense that we're obviously going to talk about over the course of the rest of the show.
They can. And I mean, all you have to do is go back again, and we talk about it all the offseason, is go to that Chiefs game without Bernard, right? I mean, look how
Mhm.
bad that defense played. And the Bills obviously went out and they kind of tried to solidify the depth at linebacker behind those guys to make sure, like, if something were to happen, that we weren't in such dire straits. But man, you don't want to even think about a scenario with those two guys not being healthy for the full season.
Speaking of health, neither of those guys have really ever been healthy for a full season. What is your confidence level in the depth of the linebacking core this year? We've had this conversation previously. To me, it's pretty high, and I believe you feel the same as well.
I like it. Obviously, Dodson's gone, and he played admirably last year,
Mhm.
right? I mean, there's receipts of us probably not talking so highly of Tyrell Dodson in the past, and I get that. And look, I'll admit, he he played better than I thought he would. But Dorian Williams is super athletic, got some really valuable reps last year. They've got Deion Jones, who they signed. They've got Morrow, right? So it's like Spectre, like if he could stay healthy, and who knows, like Cole Bishop and Taylor Rapp may even be able to kind of pseudo linebacker in there at times, depending on the need. So my confidence level is definitely high. I have said it on social media in response to probably one of your tweets that I think it's the best position group, top to bottom, on the team, and I'll stand behind that.
Yeah, I agree with that because I think if Milano goes down, I think you trust after what the Buffalo Bills did with Terrel Bernard, a third-round linebacker. I think you trust the development plan of an athletic freak like Dorian Williams. He struggled to get on the field last year, but it's a complex scheme. It's a complex system. He came from a rather basic one at Tulane. So you got to trust that if Dorian Williams steps on the field in 2024, you're probably going to see a completely different player than you saw in 2023. Morrow, he's an athletic comp to a Terrell Bernard, more a guy who is like Terrell Bernard athletically. Plus, he's got the experience. He's played a bunch of games. So if he's got to fill in, you got some confidence level there. And then you like the depth behind them as well in Ulofoshio and Balin Spector.
Yeah,
so
didn't even mention Ulu. So
yeah, I mean, and I believe it was Claude Puy said the kid they drafted, Ulofoshio, essentially here. He has essentially played in the Bill system for the last 2 years. He has spoken at length about how the University of Washington, he was watching Milano and Bernard tape, and they were doing a lot of what the Buffalo Bills were doing and mimicking a lot of what the Buffalo Bills were doing. So maybe less of a learning curve for him if he has to step on the field as well.
This segment is from the Air Raid Hour podcast. The full show is live every Monday at 9 p.m. Eastern Time on the Cover One YouTube channel. Don't miss out.